host of the Gridiron.
Now, it's a very short list here, very short list. However, the Giants have had success drafting at number 3 in the past. Okay? Now, they've only had 2 picks at number 3 in the past. Okay, this year, unless they trade, right? This will be number 3. They've had 4. I'm sorry. This will be the 4th one, right? But they've only had, including this year, unless they trade out of it, this will be the 3rd one that they've had. Whoops. In the actual draft. They had one who went in the supplement, who they picked 3rd in the supplemental draft. And unfortunately, he wound up being the best one out of all of them, because an article here I'm going to read, because he wound up going into the Hall of Fame. Now, if you notice, if you look at the thumbnail there, right, you'll see Carl Banks. I drafted him number 3 in the 1984 draft. Now, to me, Carl, borderline Hall of Famer, right? Because now he won 2 Super Bowls, and he had some good games. He had some good moments. He had a couple good years there and all that, right? But possibly he was never the best at his position for multiple years, right? Like 86 in Super Bowl 21, he was the best guy on the field, except for Phil Simms. He was the best guy on the field. If you listen to John Madden in the divisional round, talk about Carl Banks, right? When we played the 49ers and beat them 49-3. John Madden said Carl Banks was one of the best players in the league, period, at that time. He was playing phenomenal. He set an edge. Let me tell you what, you could not get around him. They could not. He set an edge. I'll tell you what. And I said he was multiple times, John Madden said in that divisional round, that now this is with Harry Carson on the field. This is with Joe Montana on the field. This is with Jerry Rice on the field. This is also with some dude by the name of Lawrence Taylor on the field. Ooh. But in that 1986 divisional round playoff game where we beat the 49ers, John Madden said multiple times, Carl Banks is the best player on the field. And he was special at times. And I said, I don't think he was like an all-pro, right? He wasn't like the top of his position for multiple years ago. So that's why he's quite not in the Hall of Fame. But he was really, really good, right? Then we drafted some guy, John Hicks, in the 1974 draft. He was good. Because back then the Giants' offensive line was horrible. We took him in the 74 draft at Ohio State. He was an Outland Trophy winner, and actually, interestingly, the Giants drafted 3 straight Outland Trophy winners. 72, we drafted Larry Jacobson. 73, we drafted Rich Glover. Both of those guys were from Nebraska. And we took John Hicks in 1974 from Ohio State. There were 3 straight Outland Trophy winners, meaning they were the best linemen in the country. Jacobson and Rich Glover were on the defensive side, while Hicks was on the offensive side. So we drafted John Hicks in 1974. He only played 4 seasons for the Giants. Then we traded him, and unfortunately for him, unfortunately for him, in the beginning, it really was good for him, because after 77, 78, we traded him to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who in 78 and 79 would go on and win the Super Bowl. So you thought things would be kind of hunky. I'm not exactly sure what happened or whatever, but we traded him to the Steelers. We got Jim Clack and some wide receiver. I can't remember what his name was, but Clack played for the Giants for a while, for a few years. So that wound up working out well for the Giants. But unfortunately for Hicks, I said he got traded to the Steelers, and in 78, 79, they won the Super Bowl. So he could actually got himself some hardware. But he never made their team, and he never played ever again. So unfortunately, he came out from Ohio State, had a great career in college. Woody Hayes, did him good. And he said he had 4 good seasons, 74, 5, 6, and 7 with the Giants. He was a good player. And he had a phenomenal. I think one of the things was I think he was injured and they wanted him to play and he didn't want to play or something along those lines, caused some type of an issue. But he had a great attitude. Like when the Giants when they won a football game. If you look, in 1976, when we finally beat the Redskins. We finally beat George Allen. The Redskins have beaten the Giants 11 times in a row. From 1971 to the first time we played them in 76. 11 times in a row, the Redskins beat the Giants. And I hated the Redskins back then because of that. We could never beat them. But we finally beat them 12-9 at Giants Stadium, brand new Giants Stadium, 1976. Well, at the end of the game, the Giants were on the field as the clock ran out, and John Hicks had his helmet off. He's just jumping up and down like a little freaking kid because we won a football game. You know what I mean? And this was his 3rd year in the league, jumping up and down because we won a football game. Right? He had that, that excitement and all that to him and everything. But unfortunately, he only played 4 years, and his career was over. But let's see here. Nope. I got a couple of, my bad. Nope, my Kafka. There we go. Yeah, short list, very short list of Giants we drafted at number 3. So in 1974 NFL draft, the Giants drafted offensive lineman John Hicks from Ohio State. Once again, I said he was an Outland Trophy winner. He was the best lineman in the country, and the Giants drafted him at number 3. Looking to upgrade their offensive line, the Giants selected offensive lineman John Hicks with their first round pick, right? Number 3 overall in the 1974 NFL draft. He started 14 games for the season and was 3rd in Offensive Rookie of the Year voting. Very impressive. It seemed like a match made in heaven for the Giants, but the union was short-lived. He only played from 74 to 77 with the Giants. 78, the Giants traded Hicks to the Steelers in exchange for offensive lineman Jim Clack and wide receiver Ernie, I'm going to say Poe, maybe Ernie Poe, wide receiver Ernie Poe, Pough. However, Hicks would never take another NFL snap. He never made the Steelers team, and he never played another snap. I don't know exactly why. Over his 4 seasons with the Giants, Hicks appeared in 52 games with 50 starts. In 2016, Hicks sadly passed away at the age of 65 due to complications from diabetes. But he'll always be one of my, he'll always have a soft spot in my heart anyway, because 74 when we drafted him, I was only 10 years old. That was when I started watching in 1970. So by the time 70, I'm 10 years old, and I'm excited. Hicks, he had a good, just from watching the old YouTube videos and all that, he was pretty good. He really helped the offensive line. Still did not fix the offensive line, but he helped. And it's just a shame he only played 4 seasons because he was very, very good in college. Very, very good in college. All right, then of course, right. The only other guy we've ever drafted in the actual NFL drafts, okay, number 3 was, of course, 10 years later, in 1984, Carl Banks from Michigan State. 10 years after selecting Hicks with the number 3 overall pick, the Giants found themselves back in the same spot. This time they called the name of Michigan State linebacker Carl Banks. Good pick. Banks spent 9 seasons with the Giants and quickly became an all-time franchise great. You're absolutely freaking right, brother. He was named to the Pro Bowl and honored as a first-team All-Pro in '87 and won 2 Super Bowl titles during his time in New York. In 2011, Banks was put into the Giants Ring of Honor. Before retiring from football following the 1995 season, Banks also spent time with the Redskins and the Browns. 173 career games with 151 starts. Banks recorded 860 tackles, 1 forced fumble, 6 fumble recoveries, 39.5 sacks, 3 interceptions, and 1 defensive touchdown. That was against the Falcons, which helped us win that football game. That might have been his rookie season, too. That might have been in 84, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so the only other player, all right, that the Giants, ever drafted at number 3, okay, unfortunately never played for the Giants and went on to the Hall of Fame. It was in the supplemental draft. The 1984 supplemental draft, offensive lineman Gary Zimmerman of Oregon. Although the Giants have only selected 3rd overall in the NFL draft history twice, they did also select 3rd in the 84 supplemental draft of the USFL and CFL players. With that selection, the Giants took Oregon offensive lineman Gary Zimmerman. However, he never played a single snap for the Giants and remained in the USFL until it folded in August of 86. At that point, Minnesota acquired his rights from the Giants, and Zimmerman went on to have a Hall of Fame career. Now, the Giants, I know the Giants got some draft picks from the Vikings in 86. I know in 86 they had 4 second-round picks, I think it was. So I think a couple of them, I have to go back and look, but they acquired some draft capital from the Vikings for that pick. But he went on. He played with the Vikings and the Broncos, and he had a phenomenal career, Hall of Fame career. Obviously, he's in the Hall of Fame. It's a shame he never played for the Giants. From reading, I think it was in Wikipedia at one point in time, he did not want to play in New York. He either did not want to play in New York or did not want to play for New York. I'm not exactly sure it was. But that's one of the reasons why the Giants acquired him, and he played. He still played in the USFL. I'm not sure if they paid him more money or exactly what it was than what the Giants were going to pay him. I don't know. I know somebody rubbed him the wrong way. He didn't want to live in the city. He didn't want to pay the. I don't know. I'm not sure it was, but I do believe he had an issue with New York. And I said whether it was the team, or it was the city, or it was the state, or was it a combination of all 3, or whatever? What I don't know, but I do not think, if I remember reading correctly from Wikipedia, that Zimmerman ever wanted to play here. It was a shame because Gary Zimmerman wanted to go in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, shame. I think he was. Yeah. He was with the Vikings, and he went with the Broncos. And I do believe, I think he was on the at least one of those teams, the Broncos. Hold on, 97 and 98, right? Yeah, 97 and 98. The Broncos won the Super Bowl, so he might have been on one or both of those Super Bowl winning teams, because that John Elway won his last 2 Super Bowls, and then he rode off into the sun, like Michael Strahan did. But so it's a shame, because the best guy that we ever picked at number 3 overall in the supplemental draft actually went in the Hall of Fame, and he never played for the Giants. But regardless of that, the Giants at 3 have had success in the draft. But if you're picking 3 in the draft, you need to hit that one out of the park. So we'll have to wait and see. All right, guys. Wow. It's been 1 hour and almost 50 minutes. Man, I love it. Whoever spent any time listening to me live, thank you. Or if anybody's going to spend any time watching the replays, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me, as always. As always, you guys stay safe out there, and go Giants. Woo! Oh, yeah.